So,
Hey.
welcome to the Toffee Blues. We're back. It's Forrest, your host, and Quinn, the other person in the lobby. No, I'm kidding. She is host as well. We are co-hosting together, and we are back for the first time together. And what has it been, like a month?
Yeah,
Uh,
three weeks maybe?
has it
3
been
weeks?
a full
Yeah.
3 weeks? Either way, Quinn's in
Yeah.
Alaska. That's why we're not being able to hear too much from her. I'm in Maryland, and life's just normal for me. Quinn, what have the people been missing out on in your
Yeah.
life?
In my life. What most people don't know is I'm working with a baseball team this summer, doing all their social media and photography, and so that takes up a lot of my time over the summer. They play games almost every single day. So, though I love it, I do feel very disconnected from home and Forest and Everton and the rest of life sometimes, but just with the time difference, well behind. What am I, four
She
hours behind
is,
you? So
yeah, 4 hours
nine
behind me.
hours.
She is 9 hours behind y'all in the UK. So have it.
Yeah.
That's wild. 9 hours. What would you do with an extra 9 hours right now? Nobody? Okay.
Probably take a nap. I
Take
would
it.
take a nap. Yeah.
That's fair. Well, today we have a slightly packed show. It's not like a lot has really happened in the world of Everton since I last was hosting this with Jake 2 weeks ago, other than NDA signing and the Euros going on in Copa America. It's really been kind of just random news articles here. So we'll touch a little bit on the transfers that we've made and what we might still need, and a little bit of articles that have come out. We'll talk about the start of preseason and maybe some expectations for some of the fringe players in our squad. We're going to touch a little bit. I don't know if anybody saw this, but on that Gladys Street Heroes, like the Cult Heroes event that Everton are starting to throw. I guess it's a series of events they're going to throw in celebration of Goodison and the players that have played there that have made it so memorable. We're going to talk about Jordan Pickford in England because how could we not? The guy's incredible.
Heck yeah.
England are playing well enough to get to the final, so I must be playing well. And then we're going to do a little Q&A like we always do. So happy to be back, and let's get right into transfer nonsense because transfers tend to be nonsense. Um, when we last talked, we talked a little bit about all these players we had the potential of signing, and we've signed one. It's Iliman Ndiaye. We knew he was going to sign. The deal was agreed. We were just waiting for him to go on vacation and come back so he could get some photos taken. Who knows? But we've got him. Quinn, exciting, right? Good to have another attacking player.
It is exciting. I was listening to his interview that the club put out, the initial new signing interview, and he seems excited. He seems hungry. Um, he also seems to be like a player who bets on himself, which I love.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Confidence.
Yeah, and excited to hopefully see him get some minutes. And yeah, he talked about wanting to be the first goal scorer in the new stadium. So that's exciting to have.
Yeah, I
Yes.
hope it happens for him for sure. I hope it's not just in preseason.
Yeah.
But we're going to see what happens. I'm happy to have him. It's good to have another attacking outlet, a creative, unpredictable player, which is really what we were missing a lot of last season. Danny Boy, you are right. Mr. Freakin still is not in charge, but to me, that's developing. It doesn't seem like there's been any bumps in the road. It's not been like the 777 situation where it's a news headline every week of cocaine smuggling or fraudulent checks or whatever it may be. So we're happy to have the no news is good news sort of outlook when it comes to Freakin not being quite in charge yet. The one transfer saga, and I did forget to put this on our sheet, but so kindly saw it in our title here, and it's wild that I'm bringing it up. But Philogene from Hull City, this whole saga that I'm assuming has been very heavily invested in by his agent has been going on. If nobody has seen or heard about any of this going on, there are a few clubs that are in for a young English player, a winger for Hull City, who was apparently linked to Barcelona, but all that was his agent going to the offices outside of Barcelona and taking some pictures. And the media being like, oh, dang, Barcelona want this young English kid that nobody really knew a lot about. We don't know what's going to happen with him. To me, it seems like one of those things that at this point, with the circus that's coming behind it, I don't really care if he signs or not. I don't really know the guy well enough. You watch some clips, he seems explosive, seems like he's got some trickery about him. But, he's been playing in the championship for a little bit now. So it's just one, especially when those transfers get a little crazy and like it is nonsense. it's just hard to get really involved in it because it just gets ridiculous.
Sure does.
Yeah,
It sure
that's.
does.
Did see earlier today, or maybe yesterday, it was this morning, that Wilfred Ndidi is looking like he's going to sign a new contract at Leicester. There were reports about 2 weeks ago that he was going to sign for Everton. So, again, this is the way the transfer season works. It's just kind of all over the place. It's just random. We don't know what's going to happen because there's so many people involved with each player, whether it's their family, their agents, other people that are invested in them in terms of like that might have some ownership over a player. So it really becomes just nonsense. We'll use that word again, word of the day. After Ndidi, we've had all these bids for Jared Branthwaite. United continue to try to lowball us and do what they can to unsettle the player and steal him out from under our noses. Do you have any real strong personal feelings you'd like to share, Quinn, about that?
I just hope the club has a backbone, which I've said before, and I hope that we don't settle for the sake of money. There's other ways we can make money that it looks like we might.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think it's just a joke that United continue.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is a joke. And it's a joke the way United fans are acting about this whole situation. This, little woe is me, like Everton won't sell one of their best young stars to us for pennies because we're United. Whatever. You see all these little United fan casts going around saying this and that about Everton and what the situation is. Honestly, it's just noise. I wouldn't even pay attention to what they're saying. Obviously, it's good clickbait. It's what they want is for you to pay attention to the shock value of their statements. Just don't even give them the time of day, y'all. Honestly, just when there's real concrete movement on the Jared Branthwaite side, we'll know from media outlets. We won't know from what's the guy's name, that United guy that everybody hates? Goldberg. What is his name? Doesn't matter. We don't like them. They don't like us. That's it. Other than Jared Branthwaite, we did get a little bit of bad news today that Calvert-Lewin is not going to be signing a new contract. Just a moment of silence for that. It's really sad. I think we've talked in length about Calvert-Lewin and what we like about him and what we don't like about him on this show. But to know and have that definite, he is not going to sign a new contract, stinks. Obviously, he has ambitions to play at a level where he can achieve European football. The rumors are that we're looking for about $30 million for him, which when I hear that and I see that he's in the last year of his contract, I'm thinking, I don't know if we'll actually get that much for him. But who knows? Maybe there'll be a swap deal that gets included with that. I'm sure Newcastle is still interested. I'm sure there's been talks of United being interested. I'm sure a lot of English clubs will be interested. It'll just be who's willing to stump up the cash and what might come along with it. Quinn, are you quite sad that he's leaving?
I'm so sad. I'm so sad. And I feel in some ways like I saw it coming. I just saw it coming, which was a bummer. Would have loved to have been wrong, but love Dom. And yeah, with his contract expiring, he's got to go. So we make money. I just don't think the club can afford for him to go on a free after it expires. So that's a bummer.
Yeah,
I just am bummed.
Yeah, it is because he seemed like a player that really got the club and really developed himself as a player here. Played for a long time, played in a lot of different positions for quite a few different managers. So you can understand that he's kind of just felt like this is the right time. His contract is out. He would rather not commit to what is possibly more uncertainty. So he would rather go to a place where he gets a fresh start. Swanky, I like what you're thinking there with Dele and Philogene and Nketiah. I like Nketiah from Arsenal. But I don't think that we're not going to – I don't think we're going to sell Dom and not replace him because I don't think Beto or Trividi is quite ready to make that step. I would rather have somebody a little more proven. And we've seen Irvin Koeman, our good friend, talk about Broja and Adams. Jay Adams, I don't think he'd be a direct Dom replacement. He would be somebody that would take the place of a role like Beto. And Armando Broja, I'm not really sold on either. He has a fairly similar playing style to Dom, but he's a rather injury prone. And we know that Deitch can be the manager that gets players out of an injury lull. But at the same time, I'm sure it's like, well, we don't want to have to go through this same process again, like we did with Dom, and now go through another player who's not even bended into the club, doesn't have any relationship with it. So we'll see. And then this is quite an interesting little take. Swap TCL for Richarlison, keep Dele. Shoot. I mean, if Tottenham want to, play around and tickle our fancy and make us feel something again, I mean, heck, I'm down. I'm interested because I love Richie. That guy is significant in my heart as an Evertonian. I don't know, Quinn. Were you ever a fan of Richarlison?
Oh, I love him.
Really?
I love him. I would love to bring him back. Obviously, I do think the whole Tottenham, they're not easy negotiators.
Mm-hmm.
They
Daniel Levy.
they are. Yeah, he's a good negotiator for the sake of him and his club.
Exactly.
And so it makes me nervous. Like even think it's like don't have any hope that Richie's coming back.
Yeah.
And like the whole Dele deal, I would love to keep him. I think it's just it's tough with the way that the current deal is structured.
Yeah, there's been talks that we'll owe Tottenham money if he signs a new contract. Obviously, there's been a lot of video and a lot of talk of him putting in the work in terms of being fit and being ready. It's really going to be interesting to see what the real reason why he wasn't playing. I know there's this talk about confidence and this talk about mental health struggles. I wonder if how much of him not playing was really just down to the fact that we couldn't afford to have him play. Sure. That's probably not something that will ever really come to light, but I do think it was such a muddled mess of a situation for a player who obviously has a lot of ability, but that there's been just issues with him in terms of not being able to showcase that on the field. So
yeah,
I know Dele Alli is one that it seems like there's a lot more to come with that story in terms of what's actually going to happen, but he's training with the team, and we'll just have to wait and see. So
yeah,
in terms of
definitely rooting for.
Yeah. In terms of training, preseason training has begun for the team. The club has done their due diligence and put out some very nice little photos and videos of the training session that's going on the Gaffer's Day and the beep test. And Quinn, do you know what the beep test is?
I used to run the beep test every year. Yeah.
You want to fill me in because I did not play soccer growing up, so I don't know what preseason looks like for that.
Well, we ran the beep test as like a fitness test at the beginning of every season. So there's different levels, and I think there's some different like times and whatnot. And I think different programs do different like levels of how they compute or track. But it's like, do you want me to explain the actual drill?
Yes, genuinely, yeah.
So I don't remember what the exact distance is, but you have a distance where it's like an endurance test. So there's this track that plays and there's beeps and they slowly get faster. And so you have to pace yourself to be able to make it over the line as the beeps continue. And so they start out pretty slow and then they get pretty fast. Like you're just running back and forth and picking up speed. And it's a dog. I mean, yeah. It was a lot of people's least favorite fitness test that we did every year for training. And it's...
How long did it last?
I mean, I'm pretty sure you could be going for... If I remember correctly, it's like 13 to 15 minutes is like... Yeah, like probably top people are doing it and that like spending that long doing it. It's like I said, it starts out pretty slow. Like You run, you jog, you can go pretty slow, or you can and rest. You have rest time between the beeps, but it gets to a point where you're just like at that point
sprinting, full out sprint.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is that was when you played soccer. Yeah. Was it only soccer that you did that in?
Yeah. Okay. Only soccer.
So that's really interesting to me because my preseason training was not in soccer; it was always in basketball, and basketball was a lot of agility training. Obviously, there was endurance training too, but it wasn't to a track. It wasn't a beat test. It was just repetitive running, back and forth. A lot of start stops that you're getting some mobility into. So it's interesting to hear that aspect of soccer training and the fact that I personally thought that the beat test was a little more Sean Deitch centered, and now I hear, oh no, it is very much like a full sport thing that goes on. That's really cool to hear.
Yeah.
I've always been so interested by like preseason fitness routines, especially when it comes to soccer, because soccer is such an endurance-based sport. And when you really get out there and you play a full 90 minutes, and at the professional level, you look at like the mileage these guys run. I mean, they're running 15 to 20 miles every game, and how much of that is sprinting, and how much of that is jogging and walking around, and how much of that is trying to get those explosive movements in. Like it's really almost like inhuman how much they run, just to be able to be in shape.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've got a couple of interesting fringe players that are in the squad, back in the squad. The one I want to start talking about, everybody's favorite. We all love him. It's Neil Maupay. Nah. Look, he's back. He's training. Do we think he has any chance of actually making the squad?
I don't think he'll stick around. I don't think he'll be. But he's not somebody that I have strong feelings about outside of – I just don't think he's the man. I just don't think he's our man. I think people were excited. I was excited to have a character similar-esque to Richarlison in the dressing room, of on the field, kind of getting in people's heads. But I just don't think it's really panned out like people would have desired. I don't have high expectations of him being with us this season, but
I get it. I do think that he has probably worn his welcome. I doubt there's really, I mean, he'd have to really come out and be a really different player. I don't think he has that in him to do. It never really seemed like he fit in with Sean Dyche's plans either. Maybe there's a change to that coming. I doubt it. And also, I really don't like the fact that he's such a little wind-up merchant. Like, I don't mind players who like have a bit of steel and want to get in the opposition's heads, but he's not even like that. He's just kind of, for lack of a better word, he's just kind of a dick, like for no reason. like he's a pretty average player and he's a dick. And I'm like, if I go to pick up and somebody's not playing well and they're being a dick about it, I'm gonna hurt them. Well, I'm not gonna hurt them, but I'm gonna make their whole time miserable. I'm gonna man mark them and make them feel bad. I don't like players that like don't play well and then want to talk crap. If they play well and want to talk crap, that's cool. Then I'm gonna slide tackle you. Not a big deal, but it's just so weird to see a player feel so empowered to act that way. I get it. He's a footballer. He's a professional footballer, makes a lot of money. So he could care less what you or I think, but it's just weird. It's just weird to see. And he just does all these shock value comments. And I'm kind of like, well, maybe if you focus on your game more, then people would actually care about what you're saying. But everybody just gets a laugh. And it's kind of like, who is that guy again? Where's he play? Everton, Brentford. I don't know. Anyways, after Neil, we're going to talk just a little about Beto. It's not like there's been any specific things that have come out in training videos about him, but he's a player that we spend a decent amount of money on that we're going to be owing money for. Are we going to see any sort of return? Do you have any sort of expectation of him coming out and looking like a little bit more of a polished player, or do you think we're going to be a lot of the same with him for next season?
Yeah, he impressed some people, or has like caught the eye of some people who support the club. I'm not one of those people. Yeah. I think that there's a player in there somewhere. Will we see a return on investment this year? I don't know. Personally, I think his play is kind of lazy.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's good enough to be lazy. I think Erling Haaland is good enough to be lazy, so I would love to see him put the ball in the back of the net a few more times and maybe earn a little walk around the attacking third while the ball is being played with.
Yep.
But
like what you mean.
Yeah, but I haven't been impressed with, I'm not saying he doesn't work hard or doesn't train hard, but what it looks like on the pitch is
how it translates.
Yes, he picks and chooses, but I don't think his execution when he does choose to work hard has been good enough. And so if Dom goes and we don't have another replacement, he's going to have to step up. And I hope that if that's the case, he does, whether it is ownership of feeling like he is the man when he came in and Dom's injured and then Dom comes back and goes right back into the starting lineup. I don't know if that's something he needs, but yeah.
There's a little bit to me when I kind of watch him. I think there's a little bit of a sense that he's a bit nervous or overawed by the fact that he's a Premier League player now, and I think maybe he has this little sense of like, do I really belong here? What is that called? Imposter syndrome. So it just kind of shows in just the way he plays. He plays very nervously. He plays very loose. His touch is typically not all that great, and he kind of rushes a lot of what he does. There's a composure aspect of it too. So I hope that maybe he's kind of taken this summer and this offseason to keep himself in shape, to work on some technical aspects of the game, but really to work on the mental aspect of knowing his role and sticking to that role. Because if he can do that, then I think that develops him into a much better player already, just mentally, by preparing himself for these games a little bit more. After Beto, Nathan Patterson, not really a lot to say. Do we think he gets a look in, or is this because kind of like you're going to go on loan or you're going to get sold, and that's going to be that for him?
Yeah. I feel like he's gotten such a short end of the stick. I think it's pretty clear that Sean Dyche isn't his biggest fan.
Yeah.
And so, honestly, if I'm the kid, I want to go. I want to move on where I can play. So, I don't know if him and his agent will be pushing for that at this point. I feel like it's pretty, like I said, I feel like it's pretty clear that he's not really in Sean's plans going forward long term, which is a bummer. I think he's a good player, and I think there's a lot of potential. But with bringing in Ashley Young and like other
we
older
haven't had any
players,
concrete links to any other right back, so who knows what really will happen. Again, these players, he could come back and be a totally different player and really impress Sean Dyche. Who knows? But it seems to me that there doesn't seem to be a really good relationship between the player and the manager. Maybe there's been some arguments about why haven't I been picked? Why are you playing so-and-so here ahead of me? And maybe that I don't think Sean Dyche is the kind of manager who would stand for that questioning his decisions. So I could understand that. But who knows? Maybe he comes back after this offseason and settles himself down and finds some maturity. We don't really know what goes on behind the scenes, right? Besides the whole slapping thing on the head. And we don't even know how much truth there was to that. After that, Chermiti, again, the only other striker we have in the club that, isn't trying to leave. Beto, Chermiti want to stay. DCL wants to leave. I really made that a roundabout way of trying to say that. But what are your expectations? I know we've talked about it a few times on this podcast in terms of what we think he could be and kind of what he's shown. Do we continue to think that he's a player that could really kind of make another step and challenge for a starting position? Or is it a case of like, we have to have somebody else in? This kid could not do it yet.
I don't think he could be the man yet. I would be curious. I think he needs more game time. I think that we talked about this at the end of the season. Like, I think a lot of people were disappointed in the lack of playing time that he got after we were set on staying up and safe. And, but yeah, is it, I don't know if he's the kind of player. I don't know. Like I just genuinely don't know. Is he someone who it's like, throw him in the deep end and he'll thrive? Or is it like he really needs to watch someone to be that number 2 for a year or, well, another year? Because I think there's a player in there. I've said that about a few people, but I think he's good. He's got promise. And yeah, some people it is, you got to just throw them in there. It's like, hey, learn to survive. And if they can do it, it's great. Yeah.
Yep.
And so.
Well, I hope that he gets a lot more opportunity. I see a lot more potential in him than I see in Beto. Just in terms of the polished aspects of his play, the technical aspect of his touch. There is something in there that we want to see, and that hopefully can translate on the pitch. So enough about preseason. There is something I really wanted to touch on that I noticed on Everton's Twitter feed today. I know they just released it today, but I didn't follow the full series of like what they're announcing. But the Gladys Street Cult Heroes event that's coming up towards the first game of the season is a really interesting thing to me, because it's a start of a series that Leon Osmond is hosting, where basically there's going to be a stage in front of the Gladys, and people will sit there and then they'll put on a show and talk about Everton memories of what it was like to play for the club, everything that fans like to hear from former players. And this one in particular is really interesting because it focuses on cult heroes. So right now it has Daniel Amakachi, Thomas Gravson, Nikica Yelovich, who just got announced, and then Lee Carsley coming to talk about their time in Everton and kind of how they've continued to find support in the club. I think that is a really cool and unique thing that they're doing. Obviously, it's part of the last season at Goodison, so they're trying to really push the whole memories aspect of what Goodison has brought to people and what it's brought to the players and how players have viewed Goodison. So to me, it kind of leads me to a much more broader question of Everton's history. As an American, when you really start to get into the meat of Everton and what the club is, what it means to the people that support it, and its stature in the English game throughout its history, you really start to learn that a lot of Everton's history is pre 1995. It's from that last FA Cup back. Everything that's happened since 1995 when we won our last trophy has been probably the worst part of Everton's history ever. It's weird to say that because a lot of us don't know anything else, but this has probably been the worst 25, 30-year run in Everton's history. No trophies, very few, no championships, very few top four finishes. So when you sit there and you talk about Everton's history as an American, it really kind of becomes, well, it seems really ancient. It seems like it's not something that's really relevant anymore. Quinn, I think that Everton's history is beautiful. When I really talk to the people that have experienced it, when you get to talk to people whose parents experienced it, whose grandparents experienced it, it's a really amazing and cool and wonderful thing. What's been your experience learning about Everton's history? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, it's a great question. A lot of it actually came in the reason why I started supporting the club back in, late middle school, which sounds crazy to say. Oh my gosh.
I know, seriously.
Early high school.
So late middle school, she's like 12 years old, 13 years old.
Yeah. Sorry, I should have been more clear.
All
right. Yeah, it was that point in, I think, the American soccer phase where it was right before they even really, the country really started showing games on TV. There was the occasional match or two for a season on, but nobody had rights to the Premier League in the States. If they did, I couldn't even tell you who they were because they weren't on TV. And got connected with Danny, who's been on here, and he just kept sending me articles, videos, things to read about the history of the club. Obviously he talked so highly about the club in so many ways, but reading the mix of history, and then obviously we talk a lot about Everton in the community and just how unique the club is in that way, just what they do for Liverpool. And it was reading, it was watching clips from the 80s, it was learning about Goodison Park, the move into Goodison Park, and then just the evolution of how it was the first of so many things. And from the start of reading, it was there's something different about this club that dates back to the 1800s, right?
Genuinely.
And it being a part of the start of the football league and everything, it's like you said, I think so many people, when they hear that we support Everton, it's why would you do that?
Exactly.
There's nothing special about that club. And it's because so many people that we interact with, Forrest and I, are born in the early 90s, I would say, I guess to say. And so it's I was born right after the last time we lifted a trophy. So to people, it's why would you? Because all they've ever known or all they've ever seen is, you could argue, a lot of mediocrity. And so
genuinely, yeah.
I think that it has played such a role in coming to love the club, and there's this desire for the club to get back to that. It's I've seen via clips, via reading articles, watching movies about football in Liverpool. Um, and not all of it, most of it takes place before I was born. So it's like, there's just this like drive and desire to see that again.
Hmm.
Um, that I think is a little deeper, and the fact that, yeah, it is so long standing. I mean, when you look at the all time table, English football table, like we're up there, and people are like shocked to hear that. I said that to someone the other day, and they're like, "What do you mean?" Or like, we have the second longest standing like streak, whatever, in the top division. It's like just Arsenal is longer, and that's shocking to people. Um, it's like the club's been here, the club's done great things, and it's like, yeah, I love it. I just love reading about players, their experiences, what the club means to people, what the club has meant to people in the last like over 100 years, obviously. So it's just like, it's awesome.
Yeah, it is. It is such a unique part of English football as a whole, but definitely with Everton, that history is so storied and so vast. It's really hard to get your hands down into everything that it's about, because you'd think when you start and look back at like league tables from 1878 when we were still St. Domingo's FC, and you start to look at the first football league table, and we win, Preston win it the first couple of years, and then we win it, or Preston win it the first year, and we win it. But just seeing like longevity and the amount of generations that grew up supporting Everton and grew up as Evertonians because of their family, because of proximity of Goodison, whatever it may be, it really puts into perspective the depth of Everton's history and the depth of its impact on the people in its community, the people in football in general, across the country, across the world, even. Um, it's just special. It's so special to know that Everton have existed for so long. It stinks to know that we are existing in a part of Everton where it's just not a very good part of their time as a club. Um, but to still know it and to have people around that have experienced it and are able to tell those stories is a really cool thing. And that's why I really enjoy seeing the club come out and do these presentations and do these events. They've always done events like this. They always love to have former players come out. And if you go anywhere around, the Merseyside area, if you go into North Wales, if you go into up towards Chester and stuff, you'll see venues and see, what are they called? Like, it's not bars, is another word, social clubs, like where you'll go and have meet and greets, and Neville Southall will go there, and Graham Stewart will go, and they'll have these players come out and talk and just talk with people, and you're sure they get a little fee out of it, but it's just for them an opportunity to tell more about the history of the club. And it's so unique. It's so unique to see, because I'm sure every club has an extent of that around their community. They have former players go out and talk, but Everton's players are always so accomplished and done so many things and have such a storied part of history with a club that has such a big part of the football landscape in the UK. Even if that these days it's not what it really seems to be. Um, there are stories I've heard, and it's not just the football, but it's the people. It's like the hooligan groups, it's the supporters groups. Like these stories expand beyond football and expand into cultural norms and expand into tribalism and everything that goes along with football in general. Everton has had such a huge role in all of it, and it's the same way for me. But when people I tell people I support Everton. I was just at a local soccer game last night, and a fellow was wearing an Everton top, and I stopped and said hi to him. He was a Southampton fan, but a Southampton fan, American guy who was a big Southampton fan. Okay, buddy. But I was like, oh, and he was like, oh, I just got to wear the top because the team's blue, right? Like, because the Annapolis team, the Blues, the Annapolis Blues, based on Blue Crabs. And he was just like, oh, but you're a big Everton fan. He's like, yeah, but I respect Everton. We're back in the Premier League, all this stuff. I'm like, that's great, man, but you're not Everton, so get that off. But it's such a special club, man. And we can really talk about it all the time. All the time. 8 years old, 66 Cup final. Remember coming home with the cup. That's pretty crazy, Richo. That is a really cool thing, really unique part of your life. But this is the thing. When you sit there and you get on Twitter and you hear a lot of people like Richo who have experienced that and been to those games and seen those high moments in Everton's history, there is a desire to feel that. This is a reason why I choose to go to games at Anfield and choose to go to games where we really aren't favored, because I want to see us do something and I want to be a part of a special moment. Every single Evertonian wants to be a part of a special Everton moment, and for a lot of them, that's just going to be winning a trophy. It can't just be, and I think that's where the club needs to reshift its focus is away from, well, we're just surviving. They're trying to. I know we're all trying to. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, but even just the focus of fans is we need to now focus on winning trophies and focus on moving forward as a club and remaking that history, because we want that history. We all desperately wanted it for a long time. So,
yep.
Powerful. Anyways, hey, speaking of making history, going to the Euro finals again. It's England, but more importantly, it's Jordan Pickford back in the Euro finals, saving another penalty. Tell you what, man, Jordan Pickford is... What else can you say about him? He's just the best English goalkeeper of all time. I mean, straight up he is. It's just the way it is. Sorry, y'all. You can talk about trophies in the domestic league all you want, but what he's done for England, best of all time. Quinn, would you argue that point?
No, I would die on that hill. That's the hill I would die on.
Amen.
Yeah, I love watching him play for England as well. Part of it is like it's like the pride of like, he's ours, and people have so much to say about him. And it's like, no, yes. Like we are proud of that guy.
You don't know, like
we love him. Yeah.
Okay, so, it was just freaking, when was it? It was the England, Switzerland. I was at my bar, the game was on, and this young guy who's sitting at the bar, like Pickford makes a save, and the guy's like, he's England's worst keeper, and he starts every game. And just really loudly, I'm like, my ass, he's England's worst keeper. And then the guy just looks at me like I'm got three heads, and I didn't say anything else because I was just like, what else am I going to say to you? Like, you think he's the England's worst keeper because he plays for Everton, not for any other reason. You think it should be Ramsdale because he plays for Arsenal. I think I overheard him say that Nick Pope was England's best keeper. Get out of here. I don't even want to hear that. No, then somebody's next to him said, Jack Butland.
Come on, Forrest.
Sorry, I'm sorry for the ear noise, ear cancer, however they put it. But that's just, dude, I don't even want to hear. Like, this is why it's hard to talk soccer with American fans sometimes, because there's this overlying American attitude of not really understanding the full aspect of the game. They only watch their team's games. And yeah, I watch a lot of international football. I'll watch other teams' games when I can. But when you talk with a lot of other American fans about football, about soccer, especially in England, they know about their team, or they know what Fox News or Alexi Lalas tells them. And that's it. And they get their opinions from these random sources, and they don't find the evidence to look at anything else that's happened in the league. They don't look at stats. I mean, sure, you can put stats in front of them, but they're still going to be like, well, this is my opinion. That's a very American thing. This is my opinion, and I'm going to stick by it regardless of what you put in front of me. It's just, it's nonsense. People look at a club like Everton that have finished in the bottom half of the table for what, four seasons straight, 5 seasons straight. And they think that we're some nothing club when 10 years ago we were challenging for fourth and with a lot of expectations, with a lot of well-known brand name players like Romelu Lukaku and Ross Barkley and Tim Howard. And we were relevant. And now, just because we're not quite as relevant, we are some little nothing club. It's really hard to talk with American fans about this stuff. Quinn, do you feel the same way?
Oh, I know that there are people in England who are the same way as the Americans, but yeah, it actually gets me fired up inside. Like, there's a lot of times where people talk trash about the club, and I'm like, you just don't know. Like, you just don't know.
Yep.
But when people get on Jordan and his performances for England, or like he shouldn't be there, I'm just like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, you have no idea what you're talking about.
They kind of like show themselves for what they really are, as somebody who doesn't. Like, when you start having opinions that like are not only bad but wrong, and like, well, man, look, you really don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you're a good player, maybe you played in college, whatever. That doesn't mean you really know what you're talking about when it comes to football.
Yeah, he just has he's taken so much unwarranted stick from people, both in England, the media, in America. I'm sure other places, but just like I don't know what people's like dream goalkeeper looks like. He just isn't that to what people imagine. Like they're whether it's like the personality or whatever, they think he's just a spaz in net and whatnot. But like he is so good at his job.
Yep.
Like his job is to defend the goal, keep
The
clean
last line of
sheets,
defense. Yep.
and he does that so well. He keeps us in games. He hasn't been a goalkeeper in a major tournament in a shootout or in a penalty shootout and not saved a penalty. He has saved a penalty in every single penalty shootout he has been in a major tournament. Like he is good at his job. And so yeah, this will get me fired up. I just think he's that guy where I'm like, just keep your head down and keep working. Like,
and he knows that.
Yes.
Yeah. I think all that investment the club made into Jordan after that whole Van Dijk saga was so important. That mental health investment, that like, hey, we're backing you. You don't need to listen to the media. I'm sure Gareth Southgate said the same thing. Listen, don't listen to what they're saying. Focus on yourself. And I think that made him so much of a stronger player. And I just love his antics. I mean, like this is what I mean when I say like Neil Maupay takes it too far, but Pickford takes it just far enough. He has that perfect little cusp of
he's good. He's so good at his job.
Exactly. His entertainment value is right up here, and his ability is right up there as well. Like he's got both of them in spades.
Yes,
and it's just fan. And again, it just makes it that much better that he is Everton and he wants to stay at Everton forever.
Yes,
and that's just the best. And when he does leave, and he'll probably leave and go to Sunderland and play a couple seasons there, that's kind of my dream scenario for Jordan Pickford is play here for another 5-6 years if he can manage it, win a trophy or two, and then go play at Sunderland for a couple seasons. I'd love that for him. He deserves that, so, but it's good to have him. It's good to see him succeed and be a part of such a good England squad and be such a major part of it as well.
Yeah, he's just that person that I'm like, I'm so proud of you. Like, really, like, because of all this stick, how he's good at, like, keeping his head down. Yes, how his people have backed him. I'm just like, man, I'm proud of you. I mean, here's what I hope. I hope England win. But what I actually hope is that he is the key reason we win. I can't say we. I can't say
she said we.
We're talking about Everton. I hope England win.
Is not American anymore. Quinn is officially English.
That was a tough statement. I actually told someone the other day, they were like, oh, did you guys win? I said, I can't say we because I'm not from England. So I know that was a slip of the tongue.
Freudian slip.
Yeah. I hope England wins. I hope that Jordan plays a key part in how they win. And I hope that he does there's this tension of like, I hope that he gets the like recognition that he deserves finally. Yes. But at the same time, I also want to be like, shove it to all those people who have just been like, oh, he's not England's number one. There's so many other
all this stuff like they like to.
Yeah. But gosh, I hope that England wins, and I hope he plays a key role, and I hope that he gets recognition he deserves. Ultimately, that's my hope for Sunday.
To me, it kind of feels like he won't really get the recognition he deserves unless England win. He'll get it from us. He'll get it from people associated with the club and certain members of the media and the England team. But the overall as a country, England, I think he needs to win that to really have people just completely be off his back. Because once he does that, he's done something for the whole country, and they can't take that away from him. And everything they say becomes even more of a moot point, and it just becomes more bitter and more bitter because he's gone and proven himself. He's already proven himself. Just to have that trophy and have that real silver lining, icing on the cake sort of moment is what he deserves. Do you think England can beat Spain?
I think they can beat Spain if they take it to penalties.
Yeah? You don't think they could beat them in 90 minutes or extra time?
I don't think that it's impossible, but I think if you're asking me if 90 minutes, 120 minutes, or penalties, what is the best chance? I think penalties is the best chance.
Penalties, huh? Man, I'd love them to win at 1-0, normal time, score a goal in the 82nd minute, Ollie Watkins again.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, I love Ollie Watkins. I'm so
Yeah, I'm a fan of
jealous of
his as
Villa.
well.
I'm so jealous of Villa because I think he's such a good player. Um,
Yeah,
really, just such a good striker, man. So mobile, fast, good touch, good shot. Like he's just, and then he's smart too. Really team player. I mean, gosh, he's a really good player. And seeing him come on and score that goal and build the career that he has so far has been good. Would you start him over Kane?
gosh, I don't know. I don't think I'd start him over Kane. Not because I don't think he deserves the spot or time on the field, but I would start Harry Kane and bring him on
Yeah, as
later
impact
in the game.
for sure.
Yes. Yep.
Yes, because I don't think Kane comes on and makes the same impact that
Yep.
and on tired legs as somebody like Ollie Watkins, who's that younger, faster, more
Yep.
reliant on his pace and more able to use his pace in a way that can damage other
Yep.
teams. Well,
Do you think England can beat Spain?
yeah, 100%. I
Yeah.
do.
Do you think
I
they will?
uh,
Yeah, I think they can. I mean, they could win in 90 minutes. I'm not saying that. Spain
that's
just looks real
tough.
good.
Yeah,
Spain looks
they
real
do.
good.
Since game one with Spain, I've said yeah, they're probably going to win this tournament. Uh,
Hmm.
I think that England will win just because they've been there before. Uh,
Sure.
I think that they've got the experience and they probably got a little bit less nerves this time. I feel like they maybe feel like they've banished some demons themselves in terms of getting to the final again, and now it's going to be up to them to to take that next level and have a game plan for Spain and neutralize them. Uh,
Sure.
I mean, there's so many interesting battles in the field. You've got Declan Rice and Roger, these two really great midfielders going at each other. You've got Yamina Lamal and Phil Foden and Bukayo Saka, all these young, really exciting, talented wingers. Inaki Williams Jr. Is Inaki Williams? What is it? Nico Williams Jr.
Nico.
Nico.
Williams.
But the Williams brother, looks electric. It is going to be a real tough handle for somebody like Trippier or Kyle Walker, depending on where they play and who plays. But I think England get it. I think it'll be 1-0 or 2-1. Um, I personally don't think it'll go to penalties, but it definitely could. But I do think that it will get done before that. I think England will win it. I think it'll be an incredible moment for the country, an incredible moment for the team, for Southgate, for Pickford, for everybody.
Hmm.
The sort of thing that could help England really move on and challenge for the World Cup next in America.
Who do you think has more to lose?
England,
England.
by far,
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
far. Spain probably had expectations that they wanted to get there.
Hmm.
Uh, and they'll obviously be super disappointed. The Spanish media are pretty ruthless too. So there's going to be a lot of put on them in terms of expectation to win it. They're obviously going to think that they deserve to win it and should win it. But I think this England team have been there before, have gotten to this pivotal stage, semifinal, final for a couple of major tournaments in a row now. I think for them, it's like it's got to be now. They've got to get over that hump and make something of this team because if they don't, Southgate leaves and they basically have to start this whole process over. Yes, they'll have when's the next World Cup? 2026. They'll have 2 years of development and trying to build a squad of international players that can play the whatever way the new manager wants to play. But if they're doing that on the back of not winning a trophy, it's going to feel like a real failure on Southgate's part, but on the England team as a whole's part because they've got to that point and just getting to this point in the final is so hard.
Yep.
So 1-0 England.
Hey, I hope you're right. But
we'll have to see. Well, so we are now on to the Q&A portion of our show tonight, y'all. Our first question comes from our overlords at the Toffee Blues, and it has to do with someone we already talked about, Dele Alli. Is he worth spending money on if we sign him back up, or is it a lost cause? Quinn can answer first.
I genuinely believe he's a player worth betting on. I don't think spending money on. I mean, I don't know what the number value is, so that's a statement of like I think he's worth money, but I don't know if it's this ridiculous amount of money, if it's totally worth it. But I do think someone in the comments talked about Ericsson and Brentford, and I do think that it could be a similar story like that, where it's hey, we're gonna bet on Dele, and if he is in a much better place mentally, I believe that he wants to do well for the club that his back through all of this, and so I do think he's worth money. I mean, it's not money wasted. I don't believe he's a lost cause. I do think he's got some to give. I do believe that. But if it's some stupid amount of money, I mean, that's where you get in the tension of business.
It'd be pretty disappointing if he asked for a large amount of money when he's barely played football for the past few years.
Yes. Yeah.
It would be hard to imagine where he would go after that. So.
And I think it just makes Tottenham look bad. Not that Daniel Levy cares. Not that he cares. It just is like hey, this guy's been through a ton. And, like, man, yeah, I think that's where the human aspect of this, like, really gets me. Where I want to put money down for him if it's not ridiculous. I want him to do well. I think the club have.
You throw in a couple million for his contract. You said you got some money to put down on him. I'm joking.
Yeah. I don't have money. I don't have money to put down. I wish I had money to put down. If I had money, if I had just this, like, genuinely, he's somebody who I'd be like, I think he's a player who needs to be believed in at this point in his career. And I think if the club is like, we will foot some money to back you and have you here, I think he could do really well for the club. So all in all, yes, with the caveat of, like, I'm not spending a ridiculous amount of money, and I think that looks Tottenham look worse than us anyway. I mean, genuinely, I think that's
no caveat. Sorry, I go back and forth on this, but I don't think he's worth the money personally. It just depends. Like, obviously the amounts are going to really make that decision as a whole. But if I think of it now with the information that we have and kind of what's come out of, like, well, there's still a significant amount of money that would be owed to Tottenham if he were to sign a new contract. To me, that says probably not worth it. If it means that money can go towards somewhere else or another position that we probably need a player in more. It doesn't mean I don't like the guy. It doesn't mean that I don't think that he's got a lot of ability, but he hasn't played a lot of football. And I think that it's a risky bet, because if it's an injury thing and he can't stay healthy and he's really not even be able to move past that aspect of it, then it's like, well, dang, he's not even going to get an opportunity to play. If it's a confidence thing and he's not able to find that confidence, well, it's like, dang, I mean, we can't have just a player who doesn't feel like he can. Like, it's like, to me, he doesn't even seem like there's any video of him interacting with other players either, which is a little off to me. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of, like, he obviously will comment on their stuff on Instagram and on their posts, but there's a wonder to me, like, of how involved he is with the group as a whole.
Sure.
I'd like to be wrong, but I don't think he is quite gotten to the point. We'll see. He's training with the club still, but I don't think he's a player I would look to expend a lot of money on a contract or on potential fees to Tottenham for. Sad to say. So,
sure.
Devil's advocate. Anyways, next question. Pineapple doesn't belong on pizza, correct? No, it doesn't.
It belongs on pizza. Put it on there.
Guys, Quinn has been great today. We're just going to no, I'm kidding. No, it doesn't. It does not belong on pizza. It is gross. It is vile. Keep it away from me. I like it, but not on pizza.
Have you actually had it on good pineapple on pizza? That is, like, so many people have statements and they have never even tried it. So that's where I'm like,
you think I've never tried pineapple on pizza before? I'm American. I grew up in a white household.
It was an ask.
So I obviously had Hawaiian pizza at some point with the ham and the pineapple. And I said, ew, why is this sweet? And I'm this little 4-year-old, like, give me the pepperoni, give me the cheese. I want the grease. I want the salt. I don't want Canadian bacon and pineapple, canned pineapple.
Well, to each their own. I will always choose pineapple on pizza. Always.
I'm going to make sure I never get a pizza with you. All right. We don't really have any more questions, y'all. Everything else has been kind of answered. Let me see if there's any other comments. No, not a pizza, Tommy. Thank you. There.
To each their own. It's been said, hey, listen, I'm not going to judge, but it's going on my pizzas.
Nobody get a pizza with Quinn, okay? She has to eat the whole extra large by herself. How about this? Let me rephrase that. So what is your least favorite, or what's like your nightmare pizza? Give me 3 toppings.
My nightmare pizza. Oh my
Nightmare pizza.
gosh.
You go to a party, they're like, we only have this pizza left. You got there late. What's on that pizza that you don't want? Like 3 toppings.
3 toppings that I don't want on my pizza.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, I'm gonna have to think about it. So yeah.
There's an easy one, and I've tried it so many times, and I just can't go over it. But it's anchovy. Can't do anchovy. I've tried it. I try. Can't do it. Something about it is just like, get this away from my taste buds forever. Pineapple. So an anchovy pineapple pizza. It scares me. That 3rd topping, it's probably gonna have to be like feta cheese. Like any cheese that doesn't melt on pizza. That's like, what are you doing? What is this? So that's it. Goat cheese is okay. I can deal with some goat cheese because it's got a good texture thing going. But you get this soft, crumbly like cheese on pizza when I'm expecting melted. Get away from me. Get it out of here. All right, can you
that's fair. I'm probably gonna go the like crazy route of things that I don't. You could throw anchovies on there. I mean,
but like this is conceivable toppings. This is not like, oh, I don't want motor oil on my pizza.
Yeah, obviously.
I don't want its pizza dipped
obviously. Come on.
Come on.
I'll throw anchovies on there. Have had it a few times. Not my fave. A little too salty.
Yeah.
And like the texture just isn't for pizza and for me. I know some people who put shrimp on like certain like nice pizzas, and that's one that I'm like, shrimp doesn't go on pizza. Like I like shrimp. I like it a lot, but not like
doubling down on seafood, okay.
Yeah. And but I love seafood. Just not on pizza.
Just not on pizza.
I'm gonna go cream cheese as like the base.
What? Who does that?
Oh my gosh, people do that. People do
What?
that. Yes, no! They like cream cheese on their pizza. Yes, that's a thing. So I would say that's like my number one. No, like I like cream cheese in spaces that it's supposed to be. I don't believe that it's supposed to be on pizza or in sushi. No.
Yeah, not in sushi. It can be okay in sushi, but it typically gets a little too overpowering. Yeah, cream cheese on pizza. I've heard like Alfredo sauce, like white sauce. That's like, okay, that's one thing. But cream cheese, like stuff I put on my bagel with salmon.
I know.
Yo, that's, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
Okay, now build your dream pizza. We got like 2.5 minutes left. Build your dream pizza. 3 toppings, go, and sauce, and crust type.
Ooh. Dream.
I'll go first. Stuffed crust.
Yeah,
stuffed crust. Give me that cheese stuffed crust. With barbecue sauce.
Ooh. Yeah.
And I want like mozzarella on it. Like good fresh mozzarella and barbecue sauce. I know there's some Italians out there right now like rolling over in their grave because I just said that. And then I want salami, and I want mushrooms, and I want onion. And I know I sound like a boring old man saying that, but like that's it. Some nice like big old pieces of salami on there. Or I go the other route and I just get a margarita because I love a margarita.
Yes, that's what I was gonna say. A classic margarita pizza. Okay, mine would either be a classic margarita pizza, like that solid.
Maybe we can
like stone oven, like yeah.
That's big dollops of mozzarella.
Yes,
like big basil leaves on there.
Yes,
just eat it up.
Yes, but if we're going like build your own pizza outside of the classic, I'm going Detroit style pizza. If you haven't had it, honestly, you gotta have it. Thick crust, like crunchy. Oh, it's so good.
Pan pizza.
No, it's different than pan pizza.
Pan pizza. Pan pizza.
No,
I've had it. It's pan pizza.
Detroit style pizza. You can't call it pan pizza. You have to say it's Detroit style. I'm gonna go barbecue sauce, chicken, caramelized onions.
Caramelized onions. She just went for the barbecue chicken pizza.
I sure did. And if you want to get fancy, you throw some pineapples on there.
You know what goes really good on pizza is prosciutto. I love prosciutto. I'm a charcuterie board kind of guy. I just don't have charcuterie board kind of money all the time. So
this really took a turn. Also, goat cheese on pizza. I love goat cheese. Never had it on pizza, but I would say I like feta on pizza.
No, get out of here.
It's
Whatever.
good. It's good.
No, like, no.
Hey,
Goat
to
cheese
each their
cools and
own. We
popping.
obviously have some similar taste buds and then some seriously different ones.
Okay, this is
Fine.
our pizza episode, y'all. I'm glad you got to know us more as Americans. That's all we got today. We got a good solid hour in talking about a bunch of nonsense, word of the day. And we will see if we're back next week, whether I'm Quinn or somebody else, or I decide to pack it all in and move to Alaska. Wait.
Yeah, come on. Come join. It's beautiful out here.
I'm going to go to Hawaii. Yeah, she's in an insane asylum room, guys, by the way.
He said he was going to say that. I'm not.
I didn't know. I didn't say anything about that. She's like, see, that window is actually like a video screen. And they just change it so that
I think this is where we just gotta. That's it.
All right, cool. Well, thank y'all very much. Appreciate y'all watching. I'm going to go kick a soccer ball around in 90-degree heat.
And let's hope that Jordan Pickford lifts the trophy on Sunday.
Yes, come on, England. It's coming home.
Yes. It's coming home.
So, all right.
To their home.
There you go. All righty. See you later, y'all. Take care. I forgot that the stream takes a little bit longer to end. So 3, 2, 1.